Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Thinking right out here in my lab, and I'm in the book. We wrote it right along. Page 44, enrolling. That's right. I got a nice lesson for you today. It's the question: what is yoga, and how does right thinking philosophy relate to yoga? Good question. Better answer. Let's go. Rightism. 25 rules to live by. Storytelling. Story with a message. There's a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You turn them and receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking way of life through mental and spiritual discipline. Practice daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question: do you know you? You will when I get through. That's what I do. It's rhetorical, but if you know how to answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do for you. Appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself and to my yard be true. The question is, right thinking, let's talk about what is yoga and how does right thinking philosophy, aka wisdom philosophy, relates to yoga. I got 2 pages of information. This ought to be fun. Let's go. Right thinking philosophy is an aspect of an ancient Egyptian yogic teaching philosophy. Therefore, it is important to understand recap, sema. That's yoga of wisdom, the goddess, okay, in the context of all Smatawi, aka Egyptian yoga traditions. Therefore, it is appropriate here to present a brief introduction to the concepts, again, concepts of yoga and the specific yogic teachings that developed in ancient Africa and later in India. But because India produced it, they think everything yoga came from India. You got some proof to show a little different. Most students, okay, of yoga, and I'm one of them personally, are familiar with the yogic traditions, very much so, in out of India. Not me. Consider that the Indian texts, such as the Bhagavad Gita, familiar with that, the Mahabharata, familiar with that, the Patanjali, Yoga, Kama Sutras, etc., familiar with those also, are primarily original sources of what they consider the yogic philosophy, according to them and the teachings. However, what upon closer examination, the teachings currently espoused in all the major forms of the Indian yoga can all be found in the ancient Egyptian scriptures. Where? It's everywhere. It's inscribed in papyrus. It's on the temple walls. It's as well as the stelas, the state status, obelisks, and other sources. It's, in other words, it's everywhere. I'm saying, my friends, everywhere. Our knowledge and information is everywhere in Egypt. And those who borrowed it and took it on don't make a difference. It still started here. Let me make this point right now. Right thinking philosophy is the practice of mental, physical, and spiritual disciplines which leads again to self control of one's ego and self discovery of one true self by purifying the mind, body, and spirit. How? And so as to now discover the deeper spiritual essence which lies within every human being and object in the universe. So, in essence, the goal of all right thinking practice is to unite your one individual consciousness, you, with your universal consciousness, cosmic consciousness. Therefore, ancient Egyptians' religious practice, especially in terms of their rituals and the other practices of ancient Egyptian temple system known as Shitar Neda, the hidden secret of God, the way of the hidden supreme being. Yes, okay. That's what Shitar Neda teaching you how to get to God. That's what right thing philosophy patterns are. Also, is known in ancient times as Smatawi or Egyptian yoga. Should as well be considered as universal streams of self-knowledge, philosophy, which influenced and inspired the great religions and philosophy to this very day. In this sense, religion, and I keep trying to make this point to you, listen, religion in its purest form, before it get cut. I use the cocaine metaphor. I was getting the cocaine before it was cut up. I did the cutting of the cocaine. But if you get it commercial, you're getting garbage. So same thing with religion. If you get religion in its purest form, it is also a what? Yoga system. As it seeks to what? Reunite your soul, your conscious soul, with its true original source, aka God. In a broad term, any spiritual movement, aka a belief system, religious philosophy, any spiritual movement or discipline that brings one closer to mastery of self-knowledge is what? A yogic movement. Okay? Getting you to God is a yogic movement. Why? It's disciplines you got to practice and follow that you will do to get that happen. And you got the main recognized forms of yoga disciplines. There are 5 of them. I gave this lesson years ago. This has been a minute. The 5 yoga philosophies, disciplines that you need, should, and could master for yourself. And it says yoga of wisdom. That's right thing philosophy. Yoga of devotional love. That's what the Christians follow. They practice that philosophy. They love the Christ. And I ain't got a problem with that. That's the next one. Next, yoga of meditation. My favorite. That's right thing philosophy. And I don't do the physical postures. I'm not sitting in the yoga position. I'm not getting the nose position. Ain't happening. Ain't doing that. I go to the gym every day and put my work in. So that's my physical exercise for that. Then another one of my favorites, what I'm practicing right now, I'm doing it right now, yoga of selfless action. Giving them something in yourself for somebody else and don't want nothing in return. Last one, tantric yoga, or we know it as serpent power yoga or kundalini yoga, serpent power, okay? Rising the kundalini up to the spinal column. But let's talk about the yoga practice. Again, in essence, is okay. We just did the 5. I just gave the diagram, and it says diagram below, this right here. And this is why I understand and respect the religion of Christianity. This is the route that I took to get enlightened. This is the Christian route. This is the religious route, which is the same way, same, the end game is the same. A few things in between is a little different, and they got philosophical differences, but the goal and the purpose is the same, to reach what? Enlightenment, to get what? To the source, God. That's why. So let's talk about it. I just showed you the diagram. It showed the relationship between, you got the yoga discipline and the path to mystical religion. Religion practice is in 3 complete steps. Pay attention. First step, receiving the myth. It was a religion. The Bible is a book from God. It was written by God. What you mean it's a myth? No, it's a mythological book, not to be taken literal. Let me get that clear. Moving on. I ain't sitting in debate about that nonsense. First is receive the myth, aka get knowledge and understanding of the story. In your case, Christ. Number two, practice the ritual of the myth. It didn't say literal, just said of the myth. Practice it. Follow the teachings. That's how you learn through myth. It's a language. I just gave a breakdown for the myth. It's another language to teach. And you follow the teachings of the myth. And if it's done correctly and in earnest. And the third step is you entering into having your own Kundalini rising, your own serpentine, your own serpent power, but your own mystical experience, enlightenment. That's what it's for. And every religious job is to do that. Are they doing that? Moving on. But the mystical experience is the third part of a religious philosophy. If it's done right, you reach that level. Becoming one with who? The central figure in Christian, Christ. Become Christ-like. Okay? And over here it says, now let's talk about the top part, the spiritual aspirant. That's you or me. You have the path, the top for the myth, the ritual, and the mystical experience. That's the religious path. That's the path of Christians, Muslims, or Jews. The three stages are devotion, action, and meditation. Those are things that you should practice on a daily basis if you're devoted Christian or Muslim or Jew, follow your concept to get enlightenment. Those are things you need to do. Meditation is important. Action, selfless is important. Aspiration to do better, showing devotion to your higher self is important. That's the religious side. That's the high road, so to speak. I took the low road, okay? This is the high road, the religious concept to get you to enlightenment, right? This is the low road of what? Yogic philosophies, and each one of them will get you there. So if you master all of them, you will be good to go. That's what I did. That's what I recommend. But everybody can pick and choose that they want. Let's go. The disciplines of yoga, they fall under, again, 5 major categories. These are yoga of wisdom, yoga of devotional love, yoga of meditation, tantric yoga, and yoga of selfless action. Out of those 5, the tantra of yoga tantra, that's the one I least favor, but that's considered to be one of the oldest because it deals with male female sexual positions and finding trying to be two people becoming one. I'm not into all that nonsense, so but that's what that's about. So I don't get it caught up in that. But when these disciplines are mastered, practiced in a harmonized manner, this practice is called integral yoga, meaning you have all 5 of them and you use them as needed. If you had 3, you might need the 2 that you don't have and you're stuck. But if you got all 5 of them, it's better to have them and don't need them than to need them and don't have them. So mastery of them, when I was coming up, it would take a year for each one of those. A year for the Tantra yoga, a year to study selfless action, a year to study yoga of wisdom, a year to study yoga devotion, and a year to study meditation. That's a 5-year period. In the 5-year span, you will have mastered every level of yoga philosophy. That's self-mastery in itself, right there. Wow, you put the time in. But within these categories, which is 5, there are still some other subsidiary forms which are part of the main disciplines, but little quirks here and there. I'll get to that in 1 second. But the main emphasis in the Commission Assyrian myth is on what we call yoga of wisdom. I said she's the queen of knowledge, wisdom. And if you want to follow the yoga of devotional love, that's what the Christians partake in. They love their Christ, but they live according to what the rules set for them, and they practice it in earnest, and they're rewarded. And now you got the yoga of selfless action. That's right thing philosophy's favorite. Giving up to somebody else and not wanting or needing anything in return. Okay? Why? They say God bless the cheerful giver. I give with a smile. The important point to remember here is that all aspects of each one of these yoga concepts can and should be used and mastered, and then used in an integral fashion to the effect of efficient and harmonized spiritual movement in particular in the practitioner, which is you. To have self mastery, meaning you got every aspect of yourself covered. That's what they teaching you, how to teach you, or they teach you how to cover and master every aspect. So therefore, while there may be an area of special emphasis to you, which one you particularly care for, but you have other elements that are bound to what? Become part of your yoga program as needed. Again, for example, while a yogin, a practicing practitioner of yogi, aspirant, initiate, they may place emphasis on what they like yoga of wisdom. One of my favorites start out yoga of wisdom. That's I said. I know about intuitive knowledge. She represents the Akashic records of higher learning and understanding. But they may also, and while learning the wisdom about ourselves, also practice what? Devotional yoga, following love for God, showing my devotion and prayer and meditation on a day-to-day basis, living by the rules, obeying his commandments, just like a Christian, Muslim, or Jew. And meditation yoga, that's my favorite. And with the wisdom of studies, another one of my favorites. Studying, learning, meditating, and doing the things that I need to do. All those I turned into a lifestyle, made it my way of living, made it a way of life. So, the daily practice of any of these disciplines will lead you to oneness. Any one of them. You can take any route and it'll get you there. But if you need another one that's outside the one that you got, that's when you might want to venture out and get some other information. That's all. But when you become the oneness with the supreme consciousness, now you can be called what they call a yogi. Okay? It's called, excuse me, this concept, supreme consciousness, is called yoga. Sorry about that. Yoga is getting to God, communing with God for yourself on each one of these levels. But if you study, rationalize, and reflect upon the teaching that you're studying, now you're practicing a yoga of wisdom concept form from a different perspective. It's just rationalizing and reflecting on what you're learning. If you meditate upon the teachings and your higher self, aka God, you are now practicing yoga meditation, my favorite. I call it my way of talking to God every day. Some people call talking to God in prayer. I pray internally, so yeah, I do that also. But my meditation is me getting information from God. What's the tickle in my throat? Excuse me. Thus, whether or not you prefer to it as such, if you practice rituals with identity, you with identify you with your spiritual nature, you are practicing yoga of what they call ritual identification. You like the rituals. I was the king of Master Ceremonies when I was in Masonic order for the rituals. Why? I love to practice the ritual. I did my homework, I studied, and I was prepared. I got my guys ready. We would put on the show. To me, that's showtime. Okay, it was fun to do, which is a part of what they call yoga of wisdom. The commission reek in Indian nana, and you got the yoga of devotional love. And I keep equating that with the Christians. Okay, the commission we call it ushet. In India, they call it bhakti, or the divine. That means love and devotion for God. Christians show that. That's why I give it to them. And well, my church family, I give them that concept because they follow that. That's their thing. Okay. If you develop your physical nature and your physical energy centers, you know, I'm going to shaktas, or practicing what we call that serpent power in commission, the Uraeus, or in India, it's called Kundalini. Same thing, just called different name. But yoga, which is part of the Tantric yoga, okay, sexual positions and preferences, women always on top, moving on, ain't got time for that. But if you practice living, here comes my favorite, according to the teachings of ethical and moral behavior, and offering a selfless service, you are practicing right thinking philosophy, yoga of action, aka in Commission, we call it Maya philosophy. I call it right thinking philosophy. In India, they call it karma. You reap what you sow. You put good work out. You get up in the morning. You pray, you meditate, you set forth your day, doing what's right, treating people right, correct. How could you have bad stuff happen to you by the end of the day? Think about it. But when you do this in what? I practice this in my daily life. Hold on one second. That's how it's done. Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Anything that you do, if you don't incorporate it in your daily life, it won't work. You can't do it haphazardly, willy-nilly, every now and then. You have to incorporate it and make it a way of life. If you practice daily, turning your attention towards God, okay, the divine, by developing this love for God, then this is called devotional yoga, love and devotion for God. I call it Christians because that's exactly express exactly what they do. And I can equate to that by observing and saying that's their thing. And the practitioner of that is a yogi, is called a yogin. If a yogin male practitioner, yogini for the female practitioner. But in terms of yogi, the term yogi may be used to refer to either a female or male practitioner, but in general, the terms one who has attained, excuse me, what you mean by cumulation of yoga, excuse me, yoga union with the divine. When you start connecting with God on your regular basis, that's what the goal is for the devotion for love is supposed to do. The yoga practice when you go into meditation, when you go into meditative state. It is also called, you are also called a yogi. But in this manner, yoga has been developed into many disciplines which may be used personally interchangeable in any integral fashion to what achieve the same goal of what enlightenment. Each one will get you there, but depending how you roll. And the goal for all religion, all yoga philosophy, art is to enlighten you spiritually, get you to God. Okay, so therefore, you, the aspirant, your job is to learn all about all the paths, your choice of yoga, the five of them. And then you choose the elements which best suits you, your personality. And you practice them until you master them. And then you can use them in an integral, balanced way. That's the goal. That's the mission. I got one more paragraph to go before I turn you loose. Enlightenment is a term used to describe the highest level of what we call spiritual awakening. It means you have attained such a level of spiritual awareness through your daily practice and daily routine that one now discovers the understanding unity of what? The entire universe, all is one is all, as well as the fact, becoming conscious of the source of all creation in the same source from which the innermost self within every human being arises. He's inside you. That's the idea, that's the concept, and that's the lesson, and that's the answer to the question. The right thing philosophy, how it relates to yoga. Hope it made sense. Hope you understood it. Whether you're religious or philosophical, don't make a difference. Yoga, philosophy. The idea is to get self-knowledge and become enlightened. That's the name of the game. That's the lesson. Again, I got another one coming up for you. So, right thinkers, in closing, may you all live to be 100. Me 100 minus a day. So I never know that my right thinkers who just found out what wisdom philosophy does with relating to yoga have passed away. I'll be right back with another lesson for you. Well, we rolling right now. Let's go.